The 2026 NBA draft class might genuinely end up being one of the greatest draft classes in NBA history. The top 4 guys all could have gone number 1 in a normal draft. And right now, I genuinely can't tell you who's going to become the best player. But what I can do is rank these 4 guys on who's the most likely to actually win the Rookie of the Year. And coming in as the 4th most likely, I've actually got Caleb Wilson. Now, that might sound ridiculous after he walked into his first Summer League game, scored 35 points, hit 7 threes, and blocked 7 shots. But at the end of the day, it was still one game. And yes, as unbelievable as it was, I still need to see more from him before I officially put him above the other 3. Caleb Wilson attempted just 1.1 threes per game in college and made them at a 26% clip. The outside jump shot was barely a part of his game. Then, in his Summer League debut, he hit 7 of them. He was pulling up, shooting off the dribble, fading away, and taking shots that someone with his college numbers should have never been that comfortable taking. He just didn't miss, and it quickly became the best Summer League debut that we've seen. The biggest part was that he never looked surprised by any of it. Caleb did not just play like someone who accidentally stumbled into a hot shooting night. He looked like a player who had been waiting for that very opportunity to be able to show off a part of his game that was there. Now, one game doesn't automatically tell us that yes, he's a sniper from 3, but the confidence to take those shots was definitely there. The defensive side of the floor was supposed to be the safe part of his game. He's got the size, athleticism, physicality, effort, and shot blocking timing to really affect games without actually needing to have the ball. He's able to cover ground, switch across different matchups, and he plays with such high energy on that side of the ball that it makes it very difficult to imagine him not becoming a good NBA player. But if even part of that shooting can carry over to the real stuff, then good is selling him well short. Now, Chicago might have a huge, athletic, switchable defender who can fly out in transition, protect the rim, and really create offense for himself. That is where you do start talking about a guy who could eventually become the legitimate face of the franchise. The real question is whether we look back at his Summer League debut as a random night where all of his shots were falling, or as the first sign that Caleb's offensive ceiling was way higher than anybody realized. We have seen younger players' jump shots change as they grow, particularly when they try to add strength to adjust to the NBA. So no one should act like 7 threes in a Summer League game guarantees anything. But before this game, I didn't even know that this version of Caleb Wilson was possible. But the part of Caleb Wilson that gives me the utmost confidence that he's going to be a great player in the NBA is his mentality.
What kind of rookie season do you expect to have and or anticipate having?
I mean, I expect to have Rookie of the Year, honestly.
The 3 guys on top, Dybantsa, Peterson, Boozer, they're sort of more formed. And then the next guy, he's got work to do.
I mean, yeah, for sure. I mean, I played all of them now, so I mean, you know what happened when I played them. So whatever need to be done to prove that I'm on the same level but I'm better, we'll do it.
He also broke his hand in college, then kept a reminder of that injury as a phone wallpaper because he wanted to remember what it felt like not being able to play. He keeps a note on his phone with players that he wants to outdo, and after scoring 35 in his Summer League debut, one of the first things he cared about was the fact that Chicago lost. Whether he gets anywhere near that goal that he talked about, average is clearly not an option in his mind. Chicago should also be a really good situation for him. Josh Giddey can push the pace, throw those hit-ahead passes in transition, while Caleb and Montes Buzelis can fly down the floor, and Norman Powell gives them a quality half-court scorer. Add in Nicholas Claxton on the defensive side as well, and suddenly this could be a really quick, athletic Bulls team that could be really damn interesting next season. And if Chicago is to be a really competitive team next season. Caleb Wilson is going to be at the heart of why. Now, coming in as the third most likely player to win the Rookie of the Year, I actually have the first overall pick, AJ Dybantsa. Now, this isn't me saying that AJ is third as the best long-term prospect, because if he develops the way that people think he can, he should become the best player in this draft class. But I just think there's a couple things that could make his rookie season slightly more difficult. AJ dropped 27 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals in his first Summer League game. Although he did shoot 7 of 18 from the field and missed all 5 of his threes. However, it was still a really strong game, but he just wasn't quite as polished as Peterson or Boozer just yet. There were moments where the handle, quickness, and strength did not fully come together in the way that would allow him to get by a defender and create a really easy shot. A lot of his makes were extremely difficult shots. He had a couple of crazy finishes at the basket, an off-balanced and one jumper, and another tough shot where he already had to pick up his dribble. The talent level, though, is so obvious, but sometimes it felt like his talent was saving the possession rather than him creating the cleanest opportunity from the beginning. But then you look at what happened once he actually got to the rim. He finished that game a perfect 5 of 5. The biggest play was undoubtedly that driving dunk down the lane where the Red Sea parted and he went up trying to tear the screws out of the rim. Once AJ gets a runway, there's pretty much nothing anyone can do about it. As someone who's watched Giannis for years, that downhill force was instantly what jumped into my mind. Now, I'm not saying that AJ is Giannis with a jump shot, but the combination of size, momentum, and athleticism creates that same feeling when a defense suddenly looks completely helpless. Once he's able to get moving to the rim with speed, you're basically choosing between fouling him, hoping he misses, or getting put on a poster. AJ is clearly the physical outlier of this group, but he is also much more skilled than someone who just simply relies on that athleticism. He showed in college that he can take and make mid-range pull-ups at a great clip. He's able to navigate to spots on the floor and make shots even if the lane isn't open. That right there is the base of a dominant offensive player. But on top of that, if he can add the 3-point shot, he would become completely impossible to defend. Now, he did go 0 of 5 from 3 in that first game, and by the time you're seeing this, he would have played his second Summer League game. But at this point, if a defender could sag off of him, they could potentially shrink the floor and make every drive more difficult. And we kind of saw that in his first Summer League game. To me, the handle needs to tighten, because NBA defenders are going to pick at any weakness that he's got and try to exploit it immediately. His situation in Washington, I believe, could also slightly reduce his Rookie of the Year numbers. Playing beside Trae Young should create better opportunities, but it also means AJ won't have the ball in his hands as much as if he was drafted to a worse team. He's already got established players with him like Trae Young and Anthony Davis who are going to take away some of those possessions and shots that he might have gotten on a worse team. I also believe he's going to still need to get a lot stronger to consistently overpower legitimate NBA wings. Now, that is going to come, and when it does, the physical advantage is going to be ridiculous. But during year 1, I expect a lot of nights where the jump shot doesn't fall and the lane becomes a lot harder to get to. To me, that is why AJ is third. I could look back at this and be made to look very silly, but compared to Boozer and Peterson, I just think there's slightly more things that he needs to work on. Now, coming in as the second most likely player to win the Rookie of the Year next season, I've got Cameron Boozer. And he's probably the safest pick out of the 4. Caleb had that ridiculous explosion. AJ has the ridiculous physical ceiling, and Peterson looks like a ready-made superstar guard. But Boozer just looks like he's going to be the guy that gives you good basketball every single night. Against Chicago, he had 23 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists while going 7 of 12 from the floor. And he was able to knock down a triple, leading Memphis to a 1-point win, and none of it ever looked forced. He just gets to his spots, makes the right reads, and steadily gave Memphis everything they needed. He already has go-to moves that he clearly trusts. He really can get to that step-back 3 as a big man, navigating his way to the mid-range using footwork, punish smaller defenders, and make the pass when the help comes. It feels like he already understands exactly where his offense is going to come from, which is stupid considering he's only 18 years old. The best way that I can explain watching Boozer is that the things that he does probably should shock you, and yet somehow your reaction is just, yep, okay. He steps back and hits a 3, finds a cutter when the defense completely collapses, or gets to a nice move in the mid-range. And it all completely looks normal. You're sitting there wondering what the defense is actually supposed to be doing there. And to me, my instant thought is how it feels so similar to what Nikola Jokic has been doing for years. Now, I'm not saying that Boozer is Jokic, but it's that same calm feeling where the big man just sees the answer before everybody else does, and there's not a lot you can do as a defender. He doesn't rush, and he barely makes the game look any harder than it needs to be. The other 3 might give you bigger individual nights. Caleb could randomly go off for a massive game. AJ is going to have plenty of moments where he puts someone in a basket. And Peterson could completely take off for a 40-point night. But Boozer feels like the guy who might just simply be better more often. I think his situation in Memphis is also really important. Boozer should be spending most of his time at the 4, where he's already low-key oversized for that position, rather than constantly battling against the biggest centers in the NBA. With a guy like Zach Edey next to him, Boozer should be able to attack players his size or smaller, while Edey takes away the legit center matchups. To me, that should allow Boozer to focus on what he already does at a really high level. And to me, that's why I've got Boozer at number 2. But coming in at number 1, I have Darryn Peterson. Out of these 4 guys, he's the guy who I look at and say, yeah, that's an obvious superstar. He already looks calm, cool, and collected, and nothing about the next level seems to be moving too quickly for him. Peterson opened up his summer league with 28 points, while shooting 11 of 21 from the field and 4 of 7 from 3. Then he followed that up with 25 points and 12 assists on 8 of 15 shooting. I mean, those numbers are flat out ridiculous, but the overall control and calmness is what really stood out. He doesn't play like a rookie trying to just survive out there. He already looks like a guy who knows how to slow the game down, knows when to attack, and what the defense is trying to take away. Even difficult shots look like they're coming from places he intended to get to. And the best way to put this is that he just doesn't look out of place whatsoever. It was clear that Washington watched those first 2 games and built its entire defense around stopping him in that 3rd Summer League game. They picked him up high, sent traps, double-teamed him, and treated him like the first name on a scouting report. However, he still gave you 24 points, even though it was clearly his worst game in the Summer League. Now, the turnovers are the clear concern. He had 8 in his first game, and then another 8 against Washington. So that is a real area of his game that he needs to improve. But the second game, where he produced 12 assists, also showed you that he can run an offense and punish teams when they commit too much attention to him. But to me, what ultimately pushes him above Cameron Boozer is how easily his game should translate to the NBA. Darryn Peterson is really comfortable playing off the ball too, where he can come off screens, catch and shoot, attack closeouts, and then create really good looks for himself or a teammate. That's the kind of stuff that is really important at the next level. Guards with that kind of shooting skill, along with the control that he has, usually have a clearer path to immediate production than young forwards who still need more strength. Utah can either give him the ball or still remain dangerous even if it's Keontae George who's initiating. That's because of the off-ball scoring that Peterson possesses. To me, everything about his fit makes sense from day one, and that is why, not by much, I have Darryn Peterson as my Rookie of the Year next season. But if you want to see where these rookies could actually help lead their teams next season, I've already ranked every NBA team heading into the 2027 season. So you can click here right now and I'll see you there.